Yeah, so I mean, we're talking about drinking songs today. Hopefully, there's been some more creativity in country that I feel as of late with lyrics. But one, obviously, that I've been listening to a lot is Jack by Hardy, and he's been teasing it a ton, playing it live a lot, over the summer, and it just was like a rock song to me, and I didn't really read into the lyrics much, other than like it's a cool sounding song. And then when the actual song dropped, I took some time because we reviewed it and looked over the lyrics, and this song is like a cautionary tale, what I mean, about drinking. It's not like, oh, glorifying drinking. It's not even so much like drinking's a badass thing, because it's like it's kind of saying from the first person of Jack Daniels, of alcohol. And when I first heard it live, you're just thinking, oh, he's just talking about, hey, don't listen to your mom, like let's party, you have a great time drinking. But when you actually heard the recorded version, you could sit with it. You learned that like this guy's talking about like your dad's an old friend of mine. Don't listen to people. Like when you hit rock bottom, like at least you're with me. So your life sucks, but at least you got me. And it's all these things where it's like, no, that's not cool. That's like a terrible place to be. And it was just fascinating for me that I'm like, Hardy released like a two, almost like under 3 minute rock song that's actually going to rock radio. And it's not about glorifying drinking. It's about all the negative after effects or side effects of drinking and how it can affect your relationship. So, I mean, Hardy at his best, obviously, he's the songwriter in chief.
No, most definitely. Ben, when this song came out and we were like kind of just brainstorming thoughts about the review, we must have gone on for like half an hour on this. And the first thing that I thought of when I heard it like in full was the Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis, which is this book from the 20th century where this one devil is like telling this other little devil like how to tempt man and like, take his soul and just pervert everything that he knows and the life he lives. And in a way it was like kind of exactly that, to like have because Jack in the song, the character, it was the little devil on his shoulder. He's taking these bad qualities that he has, from his confidence to his arrogance, his just carefree attitude, and he's trying to capitalize on those things and just like pull him down in a way. And so I mean, it was easy for me to contextualize like Jack, the kind of spirit of alcohol in this, to being like some sort of devil character. And the other interesting thing too, excuse me, really the rock aspect of this for me, because I mean, when this song came out, it was like right after Wait in the Truck, and at that point, like we had kind of like started to catch on a little bit with the capitalization of these songs, where like Sold Out was all caps, and that's what like Hardy had done like all of his career, whether he was putting out something that was more country leaning or if it was more rock, it was the all caps. And then the Wait in the Truck came out, and that was all lowercase for the first time. And Jack being all uppercase, kind of like it kind of cemented that continuity where we see like, okay, like his rock songs, they're all uppercase, they're bolder, and his country songs follow the opposite format. But no, just the whole kind of turning the narrative on its head too, because I know Hardy has been kind of like known as a bro country figure by some who aren't like totally in on the joke. For him, and obviously like with that comes like a lot of songs about alcohol. He's had a lot of party songs, a lot of songs about drinking beer with his buddies, pardon the pun. But for him to like turn the narrative on his head and like make it more of a darker story was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and just to like piggyback off of that, I mean, talk about like deep lyrics with this. I mean, we've always known that Hardy produces. I mean, it's quality content with him. And just to hear this song and kind of be like the perspective of alcohol, I don't think we've ever really seen that in any country songs. A lot of times people come out with music where they're talking about alcohol in country songs, and it's kind of just like a factor of their song, or it's kind of like either in the background. It's not really the forefront of anything. So when the perspective is kind of from the alcohol's perspective, it's like, whoa, like it's kind of crazy like that when you listen to the lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, to tie it off, I mean, just the fact that he has, you said, Jack, the uppercase and the rock direction, it kind of makes this song hit a little harder. Obviously, literally, it hits harder because it's a loud song, but the fact that it's a dark song too, I think that the actual sound helped it get its message across a little better than if it was, I don't know, maybe if it was a slower country song, it would have been the same. But it is really cool that he takes a lot of care into the direction, into the way the lines go in the song, and just the ones that are going to stick with people. You know, the ones that stuck with me were, I think there's a line where he's like, "Hey, like the people in your life are like pointing out that like you shouldn't, like I'm a problem and like screw them," or something like that. That to me was huge, a huge thing. And then obviously the little line about his dad. I'm like, okay, those are ones that regular people can relate to. And hey, he caught the dad with alcoholism. Now he's after the son. I mean, it's brilliant, and you just hope we hear more of that creativity in the mainstream moving forward.
And I think there's like a lot to say in that too, because going into like sonically like what the song is like, I honestly think he's one of few, if not one of the only artists in country music that could do that and come out sonically like that. And I just want to go on. I'm just kind of going into like other songs involving alcohol. Another deep one that I want to bring up with you guys was "Drunk Girl" by Chris Jansen. Had a lot of like similarities as far as the deep meaning behind the lyrics, behind the whole sound of the song. I know this came out, it was released as a single in 2016 by Chris. And just flipping through the radio stations, I mean, I remember when this first came out, and you got to be careful because when you're flipping through the stations and you're hearing the lyrics, some people are only hearing take a drunk girl home, and people are like, oh, what's this about? Like, what is this about? You know, someone taking advantage of somebody? Like, what is this? And so, like, listening to the lyrics more, you're like, wow, like this is about, you know, somebody caring for somebody who's drunk, and a drunk girl in this case, and um, doesn't want to be left alone or abandoned, or under certain circumstances where they're taken advantage of. And it's kind of an interesting message to get across to listeners. Like, look, if you're in this kind of situation, if you're in this predicament, like, you know what the right thing to do is, and you have to do the right thing, and you have to go through that. And I think that was really a powerful message at the time to release a song like that. It got pretty successful chart success. I kind of expected it wouldn't be a number one, but it did get pretty close to it, just because of the context. And, you know, that was something hard coming out 6 years ago. And I think that was the start of a lot of more deeper, meaningful topics that people kind of danced around in country music. And now I feel like today these issues and these topics are being hit head on. So I want to know what you guys think about it. And yeah.
No, Brandon. I mean, I'm happy you brought it up just because sometimes with these sensitive topics, I like that Chris Jansen released it without prompting. You know, sometimes there's something going on in the world, and then like an artist drops a song in, response to it, and I don't know, it sometimes falls flat. I mean, everyone, music's music, connects with people no matter what time it is. But I love that you just dropped it at whenever, and it made people think, and it was a risk at country radio, of course. And it didn't go number one. I'm looking up the chart success, number seven, which is still incredibly successful. And he wrote it himself. So him and Tom Douglas, Scooter Caruso, and I'm looking up that he wanted Tim McGraw to actually record this. But then his wife, who's like actually like an agent in Nashville, like she's someone that like loves, like she pitches songs and whatnot. She had told him, no, just keep this for yourself. So maybe if Tim McGraw recorded it, it would have gone number one. Who knows? But I'm glad he took the risk because, agreed, man. I think those songs that maybe even you just look at the title and you assume it's going to be a certain topic, especially 2017 bro country era, at large. You know, what's the song about? And people probably scoffed at the title, but it was a song I enjoyed a lot when it came out. I mean, I'm just a sucker for those piano ballads, but definitely thoughtful lyrics. And of course, man, like we have mothers, we have sisters, we have friends, we have girlfriends. Like you just never want them to be put in that terrible situation. So really cool that Chris Jansen tackled it. And it's still a big song in his catalog that fans truly love and connect with. So regardless of chart success, it was a big success in my book.
For sure, yeah. I mean, it has to be like one of the boldest singles like ever released, probably in the last 10 years. Especially as we've gone through different waves in country music where certain things are taboo, and like there've definitely been times where it felt like you could only really sing about one thing. For him to just like lay it all out there, and he definitely did get the critical success for this one, and thankfully so. I think he got nominated for Song of the Year at a couple of the award shows. Well, again, well deservedly so, and in 2017, this thing definitely didn't have number one written on it by any stretch of the imagination. But it's just like a beautiful song about empathy, right? Like, pick up her life, she threw on the floor, and just about taking care of people. And I have to like wonder a little bit, in 2022, where like the country world has kind of opened up a little bit more, like we have a little bit more like variety, as like topically. Certain artists aren't afraid to sing about sensitive topics. I mean, we talked about "Wait in the Truck" not too long ago, and I mean, this song is like, I mean, far less like objectionable or like eyebrow raising than "Wait in the Truck." Like even that lyric, like "Take a drunk girl home," like whatever that means, whatever the context. I have to think that like if this song came out today, like it probably would have made a lot more waves than it did in its time.
And I have to agree with you there. And like that's why I'm appreciative of those songs that came out, even though like we're looking back and this is, 5 years ago. But those songs kind of paved the way for, I feel like, what is coming out today. You look back, just, I mean, 5 years ago wasn't even that long ago, but you just look back at that time, and I remember a lot of songs that were just on the radio that were just like, it was just fun. Like it was just a lot of fun music on the radio, which was awesome. That's cool to have like catchy songs that people can sing along to and relate to. But I'm more impressed with the barriers that are being broken down now with these types of topics that artists are not afraid to talk about, are not afraid to put out there. And they're showing significant resonance with the fans. And I think that's like so important, especially when you're crossing over into different genres, because there's a lot of people out there who don't necessarily listen to country music, and they're like, well, I can't really connect to that. I can't really relate to this, or I just know it to be like a stereotypical, like, fun or bro country song. And I'm so happy to see that a lot of these barriers are being broken, and we're starting to see more fans and more people from different genres that they would be normally accustomed to getting involved in this.
Yeah, to cap off the topic, I mean, obviously, to your point, Brandon, he released this in 2017. So I think like Hardy releasing like these kind of eyebrow raising songs 2022. It's still a risk, but much less so than it was in 2017. So I still give Chris Jansen big props for that, because I mean, who knows how that would have really gone for him? It could have really tanked everything for him. But it's just interesting still. 2017, now we're in 2022, that you still have, and not like too much of a dig at radio, but it's a very very slow process. I mean, to chip away at this idea that, hey, like my listeners may take some time with this, and that kind of could hurt us, monetarily, and that's a shame. But obviously, he kind of got started with that, and then you see now with what Hardy's doing. I think Jack and I read an article where I think like the producer Joey Malloy saying like, obviously it's a risk, but if it works, man, it's a classic. And I think that's what a lot of artists are afraid to do. But it's cool when artists like Chris Jansen are going for it, Hardy, they're going for it. Why not, dude? Like, what do you have to lose? For some of these guys, some of them have made money being writers. Like, what do they have to lose? Just go for it and live with the results.
I feel like one of the biggest like personal crusades I have when it comes to country music is like convincing folks around me who have like kind of written it off in the last 10 years, like whether they grew up with bro country and just were turned off by that, or they're a little bit older and like they've like flipped through country radio in years past and just been like kind of shocked by the fact that like it doesn't sound like it used to, and like largely there hasn't been as much quality. But like one thing that's been important to me has been like convincing folks in the last couple of years that country radio and the quality of the writing there has just like skyrocketed in ways we couldn't have predicted in like 2016, 2017. And they're like all these clever songs about topics that might have felt like worn out and stuff, but I mean the lyrical turns of phrases and some of the unique perspectives like in Drunk Girl, they just make everything feel fresh and exciting. And one of the songs that I feel like does that for the archetypical drinking song is Tequila Little Time by Jon Pardi. I mean, this song, like with the like Tejano horns and obviously that cute little phrase, "I want tequila little time with you." I mean, it takes the same stuff that we've been singing about for quite some time, and again, it just makes it like kind of cute and fresh and fun. Like even if it's not a super deep song, I mean, it's kind of a classic in its own way. I mean, you as long as there's a little something to freshen things up a little bit, and the perspective is a little bit unique, and the sounds might not be something you've always heard, you can sing about the same stuff and it can still be awesome, you know?
No, thank you for bringing that up, Jack. Because I mean, not please don't get us wrong. Like, I love deep quality writing, but dude, like, life is short, man. Like, I still listen to country to like catch a break, man, to have fun. Like, the shows are awesome. We're drinking a lot of times at the shows, so let's not pretend like we're so high and mighty. But I love John Party. He's a guy that, admittedly, like he told us, at Country Central that hey, like I got into this, man. I really just wanted to have fun with music, like. I grew up listening to things like Blink 182 and like country legends. So he's like, I want fun, I want energy, but how can you make a fun song not freaking like brain dead? You know what I mean? I think with Tequila Little Time, he succeeded at that by, like you said, clever wordplay, that he employed there. And yeah, it's a classic and a staple in his live set now for a good reason. So I really appreciate that there's artists out there that acknowledge, hey, like I'm still making music for a mass audience, but it's going to be clever and it's going to be stuck in your head for a good reason because I wrote it better than your average, everyman person. So big fan of what John Party does.
Yeah, talk about a catchy song. I mean, yeah, definitely has a great hook to it, and you're definitely having that in your head for days. It's cool that you guys brought that up because another tequila song that I want to talk about was "Tequila Does" by Miranda Lambert. So she came out with the original version on her album, and then she actually released a remix album with Telemetry. So, Telemetry, for those who don't know, that's Jesse Frazier. He ended up producing this song and remixed the song, and they kind of did like a whole dance vibe to it, and it does have a lot of similarities in my opinion to Tequila Little Time by John Party. It was just a fun song. She was comparing tequila always being there for her instead of a man or another guy in her life. And there were so many references throughout the song. Like she was talking about guys drinking domestic beer, and then she's saying, Casamigos is taking me home tonight. Made several references to tequila, so it was just like a really fun song. And if you guys haven't listened to the dance remix, you guys definitely need to check it out. It's really fun, and the music video they did was absolutely incredible. It was just so many people together that were just drinking and having a good time at night at someone's house, and I don't know, just really cool to jam along to and get the party started.
Yeah, I think that if there was like a moral of the story to this particular episode, I mean, it would be just like not to judge a genre or subgenre of country music just by like what you hear about it, you know? Because I mean, drinking songs can still be like clever and incisive. I mean, whether it's a deeper message or it's just like a fun little wordplay or perhaps a story song, and that's kind of where I thought of this particular Jordan Davis deep cut because it is like a wordplay, kind of like Tequila Little Time, but there's like an unfolding, like almost like a sitcom sort of narrative to it, and it's Drink Had Me. Why this song wasn't a single, I have no idea. I mean, it has one of the best hooks that I heard in 2021. And just like I said, he's clever writing, like from front to back. He's talking about how he was going to bed, he was taking it easy that night, and then his buddies are calling him up like, "Oh, let's get out, let's go have fun." And so he did us, and he's like, "Okay, I'm just gonna have one drink." But as he says, he had the drink, and the drink had him, and suddenly he's with this girl he thought he didn't love anymore, and he's hanging out with her and all her roommates, and it's so silly and goofy. Like I said, it feels like an Adam Sandler comedy in a way, but with like the sickest guitar lines and like this fun, plucky little riff, and of course that cute little wordplay. I didn't have the drink had me. I mean, again, these songs that I mean might have been like trite and boring in the wrong hands, where they repeat the same phrases and the same like boring little um cliches. I mean, it doesn't have to be that way, and I think that's the best thing about country music is that like the country world might be kind of small, from small towns to young love and drinking, but what really like separates the men from the boys, so to speak, in the writers' room is just how many different ways you can broach these topics, especially on the radio, and make it like genuinely entertaining.
I mean, you pointed out right there, Jack. You said in the right hands, and the people we named, I mean, they're popular for a reason, these artists. And honestly, we talked about this in a prior episode, but Jordan Davis, like, forget what you think. I mean, regardless what you think, like image wise, like he may seem like just another dude. But, like, I think he's aside from the Wallens and Luke Combs of the world, like he's the biggest like radio like hit maker in Nashville. Like if you actually look back as how many hits in a row, aside from the heavy hitters, like he's the guy that every song he releases has gone number one. And I know Drink Me it didn't become a single, but okay, I mean every other song he released was a number one. But to your point, he's a very talented writer. And I don't know, he's a guy that honestly we were waiting on a full album from him, a lot of EPs that we've been getting, but I'm waiting for that one more cohesive album. I mean, I asked some people, I'm like, what is it about Jordan Davis that y'all are so, enamored by? Maybe aside from him just like his big like lumberjack beard, and they just said like this, it's the songwriting. They said like, hey, like the first album of his was like very cohesive. It had a theme, and like if you actually listen to the lyrics, like there's a little more thought put into them than maybe the first singles you up may have not been for everybody, but like if you dive into that album, you see there's some quality songwriting. So I'm not surprised he's one of the standard bearers of the country radio scene today. So he's very talented.
And what's more, like, is there a better like producer artist duo in country music right now? Except maybe Zach Bryan and Eddie Spears. Like that would be like the one in my book. But besides that, like Jordan Davis and Paul DiGiovanni, like that is just pop country perfection right there. And those two together just don't miss. Like, I mean, I've heard Paul's work with like Justin Moore and some of these other folks. Ben, you could probably name some others he's done stuff with, but the synergy between him and Jordan is just like totally impeccable. And like for in spite of myself, for whatever reason, like I look forward to what they put out together like every single time.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, the last thing I'll mention about that is like, yeah, I mean, they do every kind of style. He does the pop stuff, but he has a lot of these ballads, but what Paul produced all those too. So it's just really cool to see, obviously, the depth that he can go through. And like, it's cool just to see everyone stepping up their game in my mind in country today. And it's a beautiful thing to see. I mean, I'd say maybe one song I did want to touch upon, and I don't know if y'all remember it, but man, when I was reading the lyrics, I just was cracking up. Was Tequila Makes Your Clothes Fall Off by Joe Nichols. Like, obviously, a classic, big hit back in the 2000s of country radio. And I mean, this is still clever, though. I'm literally looking at the lyrics right now, and he's like, his girlfriend's going out with her girlfriends, getting margaritas at the Holiday Inn, which is kind of hilarious. And he's like, oh, have mercy. Like, tequila's going to make her clothes fall off. She gets wild when she drinks tequila. And he told her to put an extra layer of clothes on because he knows his girl very well. I mean, once she gets those margaritas, it's going to get wild. And I mean, I, I still think country needs both. Country needs like thoughtful, serious stuff, but also hilarious joke songs that have a little bit, like you said, Jack, the clever wordplay into them too. So, dude, I'm into all styles of country. It's cool that joke songs were huge back then. I feel like we need more of them to make a comeback and be hits at radio in 2022 and beyond.
Them pantyhose ain't gonna last too long. I'm like laughing this whole time because I'm like thinking about the lyrics right now. But yeah, Tequila Makes Her Clothes Fall Off. Man, what a song. I if I'm not mistaken, I think the music video has like a granny doing this, like not like a young girl. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that. But the only stipulation I have about that song is when he says that she drops a contact lens down the sink, and I'm like, all right, well, that's not really close, but I guess it just shows how much of a hot mess she is. But yeah, what a staple to his discography. But yeah, such a jam. I actually heard that on the radio not the other day too.
For sure, for sure. As we round this one out, I do have to give an honorable mention to probably the best song about alcohol that's ever been written, probably in all of music. I mean, I wish we had Will on to talk about this right now, but Whiskey Lullaby. I mean, you talk about like, I mean, singing about love and heartbreak and yes, alcohol, and just marrying it all together with like a personal touch from John Randall and the best delivery between Brad and Allison. I mean, it was about as good as it gets. But the story that I love about that song was like kind of its origin before like John Randall, the songwriter, like even cut it himself. Where he's going through it, he's drinking a lot, and one of his buddies says like, man, every now and then you just like put that bottle to your head and pull the trigger, and that was like where it all came from. And so I think that, as time has gone on, I mean, there really hasn't been a song that's matched that probably in all of country music. I think it's a pretty easy case to make that that's been the best like song of the 21st century in country music. I mean, I would love to open the floor for some other contenders, but you know, uh, talking about alcoholism in like the darkest, most personal way, and like weaving it into a narrative about love. I mean, it's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, I won't even try to say what's better. I mean, to your point, Jack, I think that story, like, and music video attached to it, like, that's when music videos mattered back then. I think they're kind of useless nowadays, personally. But damn, like that whole storyline where it gets into the love story, people are passing away. I mean, it cuts deeper than, dude, whether it's rock, country, pop, hip hop, whatever. Like, you just don't get that from other genres, and I think there's a reason why. At least for me personally, country music's just the very best, man. It's like when they hit it right and they go deep and like it connects with you in that very special but like brutal way. Man, there's nothing like it, and that's why it stood the test of time, in my opinion.
For sure, for sure. Y'all, we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us as always. You can catch us all week long with the hot takes and the single reviews and all that good stuff at Country Central on Instagram. If you want to check out those dope camo Country Central hats, it's countrycentralshop.com. And as always, we will catch you again real soon with another episode.